What's up YouTube, and welcome to the Anabolic Outpost. Today we're cooking anabolic egg white bites. These egg white bites are going to be cooked on a muffin tray, and it makes 12 muffins of egg white bites, and they are power packed with protein with all the egg whites in there, as well as some vegetables and cheese as well. Not only is this recipe extremely low calorie, but the calories that it does give are almost all in protein, and the egg white bites fluff up and give some great volume as well. These bites are super simple to make and is really a great breakfast for any occasion. And if you wanted to make something like toast or potatoes on the side, you could easily turn this into a great pre-workout breakfast. And one thing that I like a lot about this recipe too is you could never really get sick of it, because if you are starting to get sick of it, you could just change up the vegetables that are in there and it's going to be like a whole different experience. Which makes it also great to get creative and find something that you really enjoy. So let me show you what you will need to make these egg white bites my favorite way. The first ingredient, obviously the heart and soul of this recipe, are the egg whites. Next is going to be fat-free American cheese, and for whatever reason there's currently a fat-free cheese droughtage in my town, so I'm actually using 2% right now, but it's bulking season right now, so it really doesn't matter. Next is tomatoes. I have baby tomatoes here, but it doesn't matter what form because you'll be dicing them anyway. Green pepper, spinach, and then for flavor we have chives, salt, and pepper. And before we start making this, you're going to want to preheat your oven to 400 degrees. To start this recipe out, I'm going to take out a mixing bowl and add in 450 grams of egg whites. And then I'm just going to be adding a pinch of salt and then pepper in with the egg whites. And then I'm going to throw a couple pinches of these dried chives in, just so that they could soak into the egg whites and improve the flavor even more. And now I'm going to take 3 slices of the fat-free American cheese and then rip it up into little tiny pieces and insert it into the egg white mixture. Once you've ripped up your 3 slices of the cheese in there, you could go ahead and give it a good mix so that everything in there is marinating once you start to prepare the vegetables. I'm now weighing out my tomatoes, and everything that is further added into this recipe is all optional and customizable, including the amount that I'm adding in, but personally I'm weighing out 80 grams of these baby tomatoes. And then I'm just going to go ahead and dice them into tiny pieces. I'm also going to go ahead and dice 80 grams of the green pepper after this, and in the background there I already have 80 grams of spinach weighed out. I'm now going to go ahead and lay out my silicone muffin molds into my muffin tin. And if you make a lot of muffins and haven't picked these up yet, what are you doing? These have been a lifesaver for me, and they're incredibly cheap. I think it was just $5 on Amazon for a 24 pack of these. And if you've seen the muffin recipes on my channel before, the muffins just pop right out of there and it is easy clean and they're not stuck in there and it takes a while to scrub out. I'm now taking out my spinach leaves and evenly dispersing them into the muffin molds and then pressing them down so it's nice and compact at the bottom so that there's room for other stuff as well. Alright, I now have the spinach evenly laid out inside of these muffin molds, and I'm going to go ahead and take my tomatoes and peppers and just do the same and evenly spread them out into the muffin molds on top of the spinach. I now have all the vegetables in all of the muffin molds, and they're evenly in there, and they're ready for the egg white mixture to be poured in. And I also forgot to mention that with the egg white mixture, it helps a lot if you put it inside of a dish that has a natural funnel in it, and then you could just funnel it inside of the molds without making a mess and spilling it all over the place. And with all the vegetables I stuffed in there, it may not look like there's any room left, but the egg whites do fill the gaps in there nicely. Just be sure to leave a 1/4 inch at the top, because these are going to rise a little bit. Obviously the cheese pieces are going to sink to the bottom, so just do a little work to make sure that the pieces are evenly distributed within the muffins. You're not going to want a muffin that is extremely cheesy and some that has none at all. And here we go. This is what they're supposed to look like right before they go inside of the oven. And I'm going to do just that, and I'm going to set my oven timer for 20 minutes so that these can bake. And they are now done baking. You can see the cheese starting to crisp up at the top, and they look delicious. You have to be patient for just a little longer though, because obviously these are going to be extremely hot, and it's best if they just cool down a little bit, but you can advance that process if you want to, taking them out of that steel and letting them sit as single units. And they just have to cool for like 10-15 minutes, and then you could take them out of the silicone molds, and this is what you're going to be left with. Well, probably not that good of presentation unless you did this and stacked them yourself, but I have to get a good thumbnail photo, so that's why I did it. And once the 20-minute baking process is up, if you're still hesitant to take them out, just like I was, dig around there with a toothpick, and if it's liquidy still inside, then you can put them back in. But they are egg whites, remember, and they're not going to cook fully through, so at some point you just got to take them out. If you remember, in the beginning, I was hyping up the macros for this recipe quite a bit, and it is now time for me to back those up. So here we go. This recipe has 65 grams of protein, 17 grams of carbs, and 0 grams of fat for a total of 380 calories. You heard that right, 380 calories. Truly a volume recipe if I've ever seen one. And at this point, you're probably wondering and questioning if this even fills you up. And yes, I think it does, but it fills you up even more, and you can make a meal out of this if you combine this with a little carb source as well as some fats in there. And then you can make a complete meal. And yeah, it's probably going to add like 200 calories to the meal, but when the meal itself is only 380 calories, you could afford to add that if you're going to be full at the end still. But that is all for me today. The staple anabolic recipe that I showed off today. And if you did, be sure to like and subscribe. And also, if you had any questions throughout this entire process as far as baking or substitutions or anything like that, comment them down below and I will get back to you as soon as possible. And lastly, I also just want to say that I recently launched a Patreon, and I will be linking that in the description down below. Obviously, no pressure or anything. There's nothing that you're really missing on Patreon. It is just a way to support this channel so I can continue to make these videos and also give me the time and money to invest in higher quality videos as well as just a better channel overall. So patreon.com/anabolic, it'll be linked in the description down below. Other than that though, thank you for watching.